on. We're back.
Yeah, man. What's happening in Cali? I mean, probably the same as things that's happening in Las Vegas. I still got Capone in my lap, as you can see. I'm doing curls. I'm sitting here doing curls with the dog.
Capone, I miss him. Man, I miss going to Vegas, dude. That's probably I miss going to Vegas and going to the movies. That's the only thing that really like bums me out.
Dude, you were seeing how many movies a week, man?
Around 2 to 3.
Do you think you would see in a month? Let me ask you that.
I would say 2 to 3 a week.
That's crazy.
It was rare because I have that movie pass from AMC, you know. So it's like a membership thing.
I told you now, you know, you can rent whatever's in the theater online. You can rent it on your TV or whatever, but I think it's like $20. The only time it's a good deal though is that if two people are sitting in front of the TV watching it, like you get a deal because it's only $10 a person, right?
I know. For the I have to look into it, but I wish they kept going my membership going, and then I could do that deal. But I have to look into it. Maybe I should call.
I just wonder if they're gonna pause the great released movies that are supposed to be launched out.
Well, remember I told you that movie My Spy with David Bautista was supposed to come out on the March 13th. We wanted to go see that, and it was not released, so they're waiting. So yeah, because you know they didn't want to flop the premiere.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's you know, it's now we're progressing into another 30 days of they're saying what we're kind of idle. So business as usual for me, man. Things have been steady, and thank goodness. You know, I've been working out more consistently. My diet obviously been in check. I've really got into watching Ozark. Have you seen it?
Oh, good. Yes.
Have you caught up to where it's at with season 3 or no?
They just released season 3, but this has been going on for a couple of years already, and it's so good. You like it?
Yeah. So like Sunday, I sat and actually I took a Sunday as like a day to do not much at all, and I think I watched 7 episodes on Sunday.
It's addictive, dude. It's great.
Oh, it's kind of nice because you know you have that suspense, and I don't know, what does it run weekly, right? So it's one of those things where you can sit there and watch episode after episode. I'm going to be pissed when I get to the end, and then I got to be hesitant to wait till the next week, you know?
Well, it's on Netflix, so you can binge watch them. That's the good thing. They all come out at the same time. But still, there's only 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was walking this morning. I was jaywalking. I texted you when I got up this morning, and you know, I was kind of reminiscing, and I always fall back on these times where the weather reminds me of, this is when I first came, Dave, after winning the Arnold my first time in 2002. And I looked at the homes here, and that's when I made the decision, like, hey, I'm going to purchase a home, right? So for me, it's like, it brings back a certain memory this time of year, and the weather's like A+. You know, there's always that fall break and that spring break in Vegas where it's just, there's no better weather in the world. I know we talk about Venice Beach and Marina del Rey and, you know, Orange County, like Newport and all that. But man, the weather in Vegas is just absolutely unbelievable. And, you know, unfortunately, I was getting ready to pull the trigger on looking at, you know, purchasing something right there by Venice, you know, and Marina del Rey area. Like I was seriously looking at a couple of things, and this thing kind of sidelined it a little bit. I put my money in other stuff that's a little more productive for the short term. You know?
Yeah.
Than real estate. I'm just curious to see what's going to happen with the downswing.
Yeah. Yeah. The trick is to know
what's the traffic been like since you've been getting out? And I know you're not going far, but.
No, I mean, it's funny because there's still cars. It's not like I was telling you yesterday, if I actually went on the road and there's no car at all, it would be like really eerie and kind of weird. But no, there's cars. But it's great because there's no traffic. So for LA, it's great. It would be like every day is a Sunday now here.
Yeah.
So there's cars on the road, but you never have to wait to go anywhere. Last time when I went to go see Stan, I didn't even take the bike. I took the car, and I made it over there in 45 minutes.
Dude, I would have rode the bike, so I could have gone and tooled around with those guys. I was telling you, yesterday, I'm like, damn, I'm so jealous. Those guys are like on over in Malibu cruising on the the freeway right there, and I'm like, damn, like how fun would that be right now, especially with less cars and less congestion.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't take the car because it wasn't so nice here when I left. It was kind of like, gray. And so I was worried it was going to rain. But when I got to Venice, it was, beautiful, sunny. I'm like, damn, I wish I had taken the bike then. But yeah.
Shoot, by the time you come out of this, you're going to be in June gloom.
I know.
Right?
I miss riding my bike. I got to tell you, it's like, I know I live far and everything, but I was telling Stan, it really gives me a reason to take the bike and go somewhere, because around here, it's like, why take the bike to go where? Unless you have a riding partner or friends to ride with, it's not that fun.
Yeah, and that was the issue that I had always with riding mine. Like I used to, when I lived in Orange County, I bought that Harley, that custom Harley, and I would go by myself and I would ride like along the beach, and that was relaxing, especially like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. and the sun's coming down.
Yeah.
But I know, like, it was, if I didn't ride with a group of people, it wasn't as fun. And when I had the GSXR and the Ducati, like I never rode because I just didn't have anyone really to ride with. It's not like I can put a girl on the back and go cruise either. You know what I mean? I didn't have really a cruiser. Like that's not, your bike isn't necessarily a cruiser either, right? You couldn't really put someone on the back, right?
I don't even have pegs. I have a seat, but I have no pegs for someone in the back. So I need to find a riding partner if I want to ride around here. But Scotty's got like 3 Harleys over there, but he can't ride anymore at his house. So he's just collecting the Harleys. Yeah.
Well, see, at least you're getting your training in. You're hitting the gym today, or?
Yeah, today I've got back and rear delts. We did that interview with Kathy yesterday. It's up on the channel right now. That was great to catch up with her. She still looks so good, even after 1 year lifting. She kind of reminds me of you, dude. She has that genetics where it doesn't take her, like it's taking a long time for her to lose muscle. After so many decades training, it just seems like the muscles stick to you guys.
I bet she eats well, though.
I'm sure she does, because she's lean, but she still has arms on her, and she hasn't lifted at all in 1 year. I'm like, wow, how do you look so good still? But yeah, so it was a great interview.
I remember her when she couldn't even speak any English, and she first came. I actually met her, I think, at Max Muscle. I don't know if you own the store. I don't think you own the store then, though.
No.
What about the card Dan Solomon sent us the other day with my picture on the J Cup muscle? That was crazy.
I don't know where he found that, dude. But he did send it. That was great. The business card with your picture on it. Yeah. Oh, dude.
Well, we got some stuff coming on the channel. Why don't you spill the beans on who we got coming?
So, for a long time, we've talked about doing more Skype interviews for people that we don't have access to, because we're not traveling so much yet. And we didn't do it because we didn't have time or you're busy, but also because I feel like I want to put more time into going to see people in person if I can and stuff. But this gives us the occasion or the reason to do those Skype interviews we wanted to do for a long time. So next Tuesday on April 7th, we actually have locked in, lock and loaded for sure, Flex Lewis. And he doesn't do interview with anybody. I mean, if you try to find an interview with Flex on any podcast or any platform right now, it's almost impossible. So we're very, very fortunate that we were able to reach out to him, and we asked him, and he said, absolutely, I'll do it for Jay. So he's coming on next Tuesday. What do you think about that?
5 questions with Flex. I have 5 questions for him.
I'm excited, dude.
Little off questions. I'm not going to ask him like how he feels about going into competition or whatever. We all know what's happening and what he's shooting for, but we have a couple of good things coming on the back burner, so that's really good, and to keep everyone entertained. But for this week, we wanted to do something. We did kind of a Q&Jay for a while, but I wanted to continue with obviously our conversation. But we do have some questions we compiled through our viewers that commonly write in. Good and bad. We do have some questions on here, but I want to start with the questions that you sent me first, that you wanted to ask. Okay. And,
okay.
I'll kind of read those questions. Okay. So, all right. So the first question is, what do you think of today's classic physique category? Okay. There's multiple parts to this question. Do you think that today's guys have similar physiques to the golden era 80/90, the 90s of bodybuilding? So classic division these guys, I mean, dude, men's physique, the board shorts, they're so much bigger now. I mean, remember when Mark started that division and Dia was second when Dia took it to the next level. And now these guys today, I mean, I watched the Arnold on live feed, and these guys are stacked up even in the board shorts. But to go into Classic, I mean, there's some unbelievable competitors. I mean, George Peterson, I mean, Breon. I think Breon was a 212, I believe. And now, of course, you got Bumstead on top of that chain. And, you know, this Ruffin guy, he's really good. I mean, he knows how to show off his physique. He's unbelievable. Steve Lorius. I mean, there's so many great guys that are just, you know, next level. But I don't know. I think the guys in the 80s, 90s, I think those guys were a little bigger than what these guys are. Some really, their body parts. I mean, remember, everyone talks about flow, and that's the thing with Classic. The waist has to be small. And unfortunately, a lot of guys go from bodybuilding and they try to go backwards to Classic. But unfortunately, like, the waist size is huge. You have to have that taper, and you have to have those genetics for that. And I think there's certain guys that are just built for that division. But I do think the guys were a lot smaller in the 80s, 90s, meaning in the waist size. They weren't as, I mean, you talked about Sean Ray competing at 200 pounds, Lee Labrada, Vince Comerford, all those guys. But you had the few people like the Stridhams. You had Lou Ferrigno in there. You had, you know, Dorian Yates that came about, you know, after 91. But Haney was a monster, bro. Haney was 260 at 5'11". So he had a lot of proportions. But that understandably, he was ahead of his time for 8 years, winning 8 times. And then, you know, guys like Labrada and Gaspari. And so, you know, you had, like I said, Haney was ahead of the curve. Gaspari was in there. Guys were under 200 pounds. But see, these guys, I think now, I mean, they're a lot heavier. Okay, they're taller. The proportions are crazy, but I just think now it's advanced so much. I mean, these guys, the muscle quality is better than in the men's open, because you lose a lot of lines as you get bigger and fuller. And I always said that I was better when I was lighter. I think Phil Heath was better when he was lighter. Ronnie Coleman was better. They say 98. I mean, when he was a lot different. I think the physiques I think today's physiques, the men's open have, you know, a little less detail. The Classic have a lot of detail. And then obviously men's physique, those guys seem to transition into Classic at this point, right? A lot of the guys are making that jump. So for me, it's kind of like, it's hard to say. I just don't like comparing eras. You understand? Eras can't really be compared because we have many different variables. I mean, remember back then, hammer strength didn't exist. Machine training was like non-existent. It was all free weights. I mean, look at the old Gold's Gym videos and magazine articles. It was a lot more free weights. And now there's certain leg equipment that you use. I mean, the hamstring development wasn't even close back in the 80s, 90s to what it is. Like the leg size, I mean, Tom Platz was crazy, but if you look at all the guys in that era, a lot of them don't have the crazy leg development that the guys have today. Okay?
Yes.
So, second question, what is the best remedy for a plateau? Very good question. I don't think you hit plateaus unless you're under eating or under training. Okay, you need to evaluate everything every 2 weeks, but sometimes doing the same routine and the same diet and everything else, you need to switch things up. And that's why people incorporate training at different gyms, different training partners, rep ranges, deloading rather than, you know, backing down on the weight. Where I kind of stick to the same repetition range, you need to train with a certain amount of intensity. And I can't ever say that I hit plateaus. Did I get bored in my routine? Absolutely. But I think, you know, for me, and you watched it, you witnessed it, how many meals I had to eat. And I started at 6 meal a day diet at the age of 18. I ended up going up to 10 in my prime, but I fell to like the best spot around 7 meals a day. And you and I both know how hard it is to eat 7 times a day, right? Yeah. It's almost impossible. So for me, it's just, you know, I don't think there is plateaus if you monitor everything closely enough and you follow a game plan, but you have to evaluate every couple of weeks and look at your physique and not work by the scale. Use like the strength of your workouts, your recovery process, the types of foods that you eat. But don't be afraid to steer away from certain weeks where you say, hey, I'm not as motivated, right? I'm not feeling the workouts as much. We all take breaks. We all have cheat days or days we eat more or less carbohydrates or protein. I mean, on your off days, even with your schedule, and you're not even being competitive, you might back down on calories where on the harder training body part days, although you have an odd schedule where you train like smaller groups with bigger groups, I always tend to boost the calories like crazy. So I just think, change sometimes is the best to avoid plateaus. Okay. What is your best opinion? Do you think the average guy can take their physique to the highest level in competition at 40 years of age? It's funny, Dave. I get a lot of people that ask me, I'm 26. Am I too old to start?
Really?
Everyone, the physique peaks in your late 30s, where it's different from other sports, right? So for me, I just think, you have to take into account, okay, what is your ultimate goal? To turn professional in this day and era, like guys turning pro into their 40s at this point. So I don't think there's any limitations on an age. It really depends on how far you want to take it, how serious you want to take it. We always joke about this full-time bodybuilding thing because it takes up so much time, right? If you were training for a contest right now, how would that affect your work life? It probably would, right? I mean,
my order of priorities would change. I guess I would just focus more on make sure that my cardio is done. I pre-pack my food for the whole entire day. There's more time that goes into it for sure. Yeah. And I would try to schedule my work around that, vice versa.
Yes. I mean, bodybuilding becomes number one.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has to look at, okay, do I have a family? Do I have children? Do I have a job that requires this much attention? Am I self-employed? What are my genetics, right? I don't think it's ever too late to start, but you have to have a priority list of what at a certain life age you want, and you have to set forth and do those. So for me, like I found bodybuilding at 18. I started professionally at 23, and I retired at 40. So for me, like I still live that lifestyle, but as you know, I never seem to train at the same time. I don't eat on a certain schedule. My business comes prior to being a bodybuilder. I still consider myself very, very dedicated to the game. But when I was training for contests, it would hinder my success on the business side because I had to lock myself and focus solely on eating, sleeping, and training. And I would sleep in between meals. And, I was training sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a day. I did cardio off my weight training schedule, which is different from you. Like you never seem to do cardio like other than when you're at the gym, when you're training for a contest. But, when I'm working on winning, 6-figure revenue at contests, you want to do as much as you can. That's the issue, right? You want to put out as much effort as you can in order to be your absolute best. There's a lot more on the line, and then plus endorsement deals that are endless, right? So for me, it was always finding what was the best path to follow, and I think there's no age limit to that. As you know, you being mid 40s now. So fourth question: Do you plan to reduce your weight as you grow older, like drop to 220, etc., or you stay heavy as long as you can? It's not even about how much I want to stay weight-wise. I had a goal when I quit, and I said I want to be 200, 210, 220. I don't know what I said. 230, I think, is what I said. I said about 250 now. I got down to 230 before, and for me, that didn't look as solid as I look at 250. And for me, quite honestly, at 2-3 meals a day, I can maintain 240. Right now, because of the situation, I'm eating very, very consistent. I want to get bigger, rounder, fuller, but not heavier, if that makes any sense. So I don't think I'll stay at 250. I think I would like to be about 220 when I started at 200. You're only going to lose so much muscle mass, right? Very hard to believe I'd go under 200 pounds. Can you imagine me under 200 at this point?
No.
I mean, be crazy, right?
I remember when you had your arm surgery, your bicep surgery, and you actually lost quite a bit of weight because you couldn't train except for legs. But it's funny because your condition, everything was still the same, but just as a smaller version of yourself. You looked exactly the same to me, just a little smaller, but you look great at that. And I think you were like 225, if I remember correctly, right?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to really say, but I'm training and I'm eating is consistent. So I think if I stop training totally, then I could drop to 200 pounds. But I don't think I'll ever stop training unless I'm just injured or whatever else. I still do cardio 2-3 times a day sometimes. I think I did 3 cardio sessions yesterday. Wow. I rode the long last night around the neighborhood too. So, okay, I'm going to get to some of my questions. Top 3 bodybuilders ever. My top 3. For sure, Arnold. I think I've already mentioned Ronnie Coleman was one of my favorites. But the third one's going to be a little tougher. I mean, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to look at the influential part, okay? And that's Lee. It's a toss between Lee Haney and Dorian Yates, because those were the guys. I came in as Lee Haney was retiring. 91 is when I started training, and that's when Haney retired and Dorian took over in 92. He won in Helsinki. So I look at those guys. I mean, Arnold was kind of the guy. I remember watching the Terminator 2 movie at the theaters when I was I believe I was in high school. I think I just had graduated, and I remember walking in there and thinking, God, Arnold was jacked, and and then of course the Commando and all those other films, like he was just like next level in my opinion. Twins even, right?
Yeah.
I was impressed by his physique. I always mention Stallone and Van Damme were like my idols, right? But as far as bodybuilders, I would say Arnold. And then a toss, Ronnie Coleman for sure, and then a toss between Lee Haney and Dorian Yates. Dorian was my idol when I first started. I mean, I looked at him as like the elite #1 guy. So, but Lee Haney was awesome person, unbelievable physique, so ahead of his time. Question number 2: Will the Olympia happen this year? I believe it will. I don't know how they're going to qualify the guys. That's a very good question, how the qualification is going to work. When do I think it's going to get back to normal? I would say by July. Wow. So that means, I think the gyms right now will be closed through April. I think in May we may see some open, but I would count for June.
Yeah.
Which
do you
means
think
that would
enough time for people to prep for the Olympia from June?
Dave, let's be honest. The guys that are at it, like at that level, a lot of them are accessing a gym right now.
Yeah.
I saw Bonnick working out yesterday on his Insta story. We know Flex is training. We don't know, who else is qualified? Like, Brandon Curry, we know he's training somewhere. He's not training. He says he's on track. I follow him. Dexter Jackson, he'll have access to a gym for sure.
Yeah. So all the elite will have access.
Yeah, all the elite. So I think, you've got a few, but as far as the other guys, I'm sure Steve Kukalo is training. That's a good guy because we're going to have Steve on here.
I think we made Steve, yes.
So, everyone seems to be getting the workouts in, but I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great success. That's not until September, the second week, I think, around 12 or 13. So I will be there, and I can't wait. And I think everyone will be really, really enthused by then because they'll be going stir crazy from being locked down so long.
Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite product in my supplement brand.
Good question.
That's good. Good question. I would say my most used product by me is Amplify, and that's my stim-free pump product. Do you use Amplify every workout?
I love that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Not always Prevail. It depends what I train, but Amplify always.
But you know who texted me yesterday and used my Generate yesterday was Eric.
My Eric?
Yeah. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Oh, I gave it to him. That's right. I gave him one of the one you gave me. That's right, because he wanted to try it. Yes.
Yeah, he liked it. So
nice.
That's a really good product too. But I'm not a huge user of essential aminos as much. I know you drink them while you train.
Yeah.
I have a repair product, Dave, that is coming out that's a post-workout. It's like 15 grams of carbs per scoop, waxy maize, that kind of stuff. But it has the hydration in there, and it's awesome. It has Spectra in there and stuff. So it's going to be launched out pretty soon. I just finished the labels yesterday, so I can't wait to launch that product. That's going to be probably my favorite one because I'm into the big post-workout drinks.
Yeah.
My favorite workout ever. Tough one. Some of my favorite workouts, Dave, were at what we called the Dump, which was the Decatur Sahara Gold's Gym. And I remember training there with Jeff Fine and Rick and those guys. And I remember dragging the barbells outside. AJ Sims was training there too, the Cement Factory kid.
Cement Factory, yeah.
And we used to do walking lunges out on the back, and it was like 150 degrees out there. And I would walk up and down with 225 on my back, walking lunges. And I remember just thinking, no one's doing this shit except for Coleman, probably.
Yeah.
And those were probably some of the best workouts. T-bar, rowing, deadlift. I loved my back day, man, especially the deadlifts where I would alternate. Every other week I would deadlift, and I would do like rack pulls with like 5 plates. And I just felt like, dude, I felt unstoppable. I felt like a train then. My back would get so pumped up. My arms couldn't stay down. I was just so strong. I would strap the plates onto the pull downs and stuff because they just weren't enough, doing seated cable rows. I look back at those. I was watching some videos. Someone, True Hulk, actually posted it up, and he was like, "Remember this?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, that was some of the hardest workouts, and really, really good times. That brings back a lot of good memories."
There was a Max Muscle right next to that gym before.
Yeah, yes, Scott Entz had his Max Muscle.
Yeah,
I remember coming to Vegas in '97. And I went to that gym to train, and I saw Cormier there, Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, Paul Dillette. They were all training at the gym, and that's when Wheeler had the Suburban. Do you remember when he had the Suburban with the stereo system in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were all there, like training at the gym, and it was pretty cool, actually. That was when I was up and coming, so I was still like huge fans of those guys, How much water do I drink daily? I would drink 2 gallons when I was training full capacity.
Yeah, not right now.
About a gallon.
Yeah.
About a gallon of water. But I do use the sweet like a something to flavor it.
Yeah.
You and I always had our theories on what we drank, and I used to always say to you, "You're not drinking enough, right?"
Yeah.
And you're drinking a lot of soda.
I was. Yeah.
Not anymore, right? What do you drink most?
I drink some, but it's like maybe 20% I used to drink before. I drink those flavored, like the Concord grape that you like. I like those. Those are good.
You're using those things from Walmart right now.
Yes. Yeah.
What is it?
Sparkling water. Oh, you mean the Kool-Aid things. Yeah. Geez, what is it called? Oh, I can't remember. Skittles. I gave you a box.
Skittles.
There you go. Yeah. I can't find them anymore. It's sold out.
Oh, sugar-free Skittles. You sold out of them. All right. Well,
I think I saw your video.
I drink about 1 gallon today. I drank about 2 gallons when I was training full capacity, but I would always drink a lot during meals, not just in between meals. Okay, this person, it's kind of a long thing, but he said basically you looked very unhappy early in your career and you seem so happy now. That's a very common question we get, right?
Yeah.
Was I really that miserable? What changed? It's great to see me in good spirits. That's basically what they're saying. So, man, I was very robotic, and I was very disappointed with what I did. So for me, it was just, I really just, I wasn't that I was unhappy. I was just very serious about what I did. I always mentioned, like, I wouldn't take the phone into the gym, and I didn't like people bothering me if I was in the middle of sets and whatever else. And I didn't want any distraction. So if there was drama on the way to the gym, it messed my whole scheme up of what I was like heading into the gym to do. That's why I didn't really have any training partners or anything through a lot of my career, because I work on my own schedule. You know how I am. When I get up and go, I'm ready to go. If I tell you, hey, I'm going to be training at 11, it's almost impossible for me to be on time because, there's things that, like, I take my time, right? So I just, I was very disciplined, but I was very serious. But I actually enjoy my life a lot more now. People ask me if I miss it. I miss certain aspects of it, but I don't miss that heavy duty structure of eat, sleep, train, repeat, limiting what I can do. Even though now, like, a lot of opportunity comes and I don't necessarily take it, I still love the fact that I can, on the whim, decide to do things or travel places and not have to pack food or worry about a gym. Or, I mean, I'll go away for sometimes 4 or 5 days when I go to Mexico or go to Miami, and I'm not worried about what gym I'm going to train at. Like, I mean, that's not really necessary at this point. I want to just enjoy myself, and I might do my cardio, but I don't consider that working out like some people would. I love my cardio. And I remember yesterday morning, even Angie said to me, she goes, I'm going to cook you breakfast. I said, I have to do my cardio. She says, can't you just do it after? And you can do it anytime. I said, Angie, you don't understand. I don't do cardio for the physical aspect. I do it for the mental aspect, to set my head and get my game plan for the day. And that's what I thought about this morning when I was walking, is I was just like, man, I got to get my head right. So that's,
well, let me ask you this though. What you said that you don't miss certain aspect. What do you miss? Which aspect do you miss about competing then?
I miss the stage. I miss the lights. I miss the battles with Ronnie Coleman. I miss the thrill of winning a show and the hype after, of being like solidified as like the best of what I did. Because I remember I won a lot, or I was right there. So for me, it was like the whole build up to the show, and then being like, oh, now I'm free and I can kind of do what I want. And I can focus on the business, and I can ride off the wave, the success. And I've always mentioned to you, like, coming off the shows, like, I didn't come to Venice Beach and train when I was training for a contest. I would always come after, right? And I'd be able to eat out at, Firehouse or Fresh to Go, or like, they was so relaxed, and I could train kind of on a schedule. I was training at night, whereas, when I trained for a contest, I would get it done during the day. And like, it was just so much, no more fish. I mean, that was the main thing. So I was able to eat a little more freely, but I loved being Mr. Olympia. There's no question, but I also loved the challenge. I loved the challenge of trying to, be something that I never imagined I could ever be. So that's what I miss. I miss how hard that challenge was, because I'm looking for that high, challenging myself in business, and nothing's comparable to the, chasing the Mr. Olympia title. Everything else is easy in my life now. Okay. I can't keep size in this lockdown. What am I gonna? This is the most common question I'm getting right now. Is like, everyone's losing size. They don't have weights. How can they maintain? I'm gonna be 100% honest with everyone. It's impossible to do push-ups, pull-ups, calisthenics, and keep the kind of muscle that the weight training will actually do. The only thing, we're all going through the process. Okay, you have to do the best you possibly can. Stay as fit as possible. This may be a time you get a little leaner, but sometimes leaner is not bad. Pay attention more to the diet. Focus on muscle contraction. Control the muscle. Mind to muscle connection. This is where you really can connect and do certain movements that you feel engage the muscles, okay? And just work with what you have. Everyone is in the same boat. And we had this conversation many, many times, Dave. It's like, we talk about the economy and people's jobs and this and that. It's not like, oh, well, there's a select people that are going to lose on what's happening right now. Most of society, right, suffers in some sort of way, or knows someone next to them, family member, friend, whatever, business associate, that is going to suffer worse than them. So you have to stay as positive as possible. Stay active. Do what you wouldn't normally do at home, like do push-ups. Like, let's be real. I'm not sitting in my living room doing sit-ups and watching television and da-da-da-da-da. But try to set aside 30 minutes a day to do some sort of exercise, even if it's just jumping jacks, anything that's going to be active. And that's what every person should be doing. This is going to wake up a lot of people, and they're going to get into a better lifestyle because of such an unfortunate situation. But at the same time, yes, we're going to have a lot of downsized physiques, but it will come back. Muscle memory is real. Once you get back in the gym, you're going to feel refreshed. This is almost a great thing for people because, we talked about the plateaus in the first question, right? this is like one of those things where you're going to break those plateaus, because now you've taken the downtime, which I mentioned is probably the answer to a lot of people. Take some time down, don't overdo it, and do the best you can with what you have. And don't get me wrong, some people have weight, some people have, you know, more access to certain things. Some of us have gyms, right, we can go to, but you got to make do with what you have. And everyone's going crazy right now. That you know, that question comes at me 20 times a day right now.
I'm sure.
And I'm trying to put out there things to keep people as positive as possible. I don't have an answer for when it's going to end. I wish I did. I'm hearing so many different things. I text you every day and I said, I can't wait to get back to the Mecca. Can't wait to get back to the Mecca bodybuilding. And I want to hang that picture, man. Hopefully when we get going, we can get that picture hung up as soon as the gym opens back up. And that will be our celebration. I'm coming out for that this weekend in California, a week or whatever it is. And I'll be very anxious by the time, you know, we get back on track, that's for sure. But I want to wish everyone out there the best of health. That's the most important thing. And be smart, be aware, and be smart.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Big J. It was good to do some Q&A with you and catching up. And then I hope I can go to Vegas at some point, you know, if I get the chance. I think it'd be good. Yeah,
hopefully they're not going to shut stuff down, you know.
Yeah.
Like the freeway and all that stuff. I mean, they talked about that. So
far, so
you know, I told you, I mean, you know how much I don't necessarily like to travel, although it's unfortunate I can't stand in front of people right now and meet people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, that's the only downside, but I'm actually enjoying and keep following the channel. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe red button now. And what are we going to title this thing?
I don't know. You'll have to find a good one. You're good at that.
Okay. Well, let's keep rocking, and everyone stay positive, and we'll see you next week for another Q&Jay.
That's right.
Third week.
That's right. All right. Thanks, champ.
Of course.